Good afternoon. It's officially 3 p.m. So we see that welcome to everyone that has logged in for our webinar today. We're just going to give the others a couple of minutes to give them a chance to join in, but it won't be very long because we want to be respectful of your time and the people who is presenting today. Just welcome to this webinar that is collaboration between the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Department of Procurement Services from the City of Chicago, and the Illinois PTAC program. So just let's give them a couple of minutes and we'll get started pretty soon. Well, I see people keeps joining in. So right now we have 15 participants. Just let's give them a little bit of time so they don't miss out on any important information. Good afternoon, everyone. For the sake of time, we are going to get started. So we make sure that we can finish on time and we can share with you all the information that we have today. Welcome everyone to this webinar. Thank you for signing up. As I said earlier, this is a collaboration between the Department of Procurement Services from the City of Chicago, the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and the PTAC program in the state of Illinois. So we invite Jaime Di Paolo, our CEO, to do the welcome remarks today.
Thank you, Angie, and welcome everyone to our webinar series. I think this is our 7th, I believe, or 8th webinar that we host throughout this hard times. This is the new norm, and I think we're doing a good job at it. And today, we're going to learn about certification, how to get certified to do business with the city. We have with you today the director of the PTAC, the Illinois PTAC, Angie Alonso, which is the moderator also. We also have Gabriela Garcia, which is the director of the SPTRC program, which is a United States Department of Transportation Small Business Transportation Resource Center. She's going to talk a little bit today. So welcome everyone and enjoy. And we also leave you in good hands with the city Regents, as her name. She is the, she's going to give you the presentation about how to get certified. So thank you everyone and welcome. And Angie.
Thank you, Jaime, for the welcoming, and thank you for participating in our webinar. He has to leave because he has other commitments, but we appreciate his time here at our webinar. So as Jaime say, and for all of the ones that don't know me yet, my name is Angie Alonso. I work at Ihcc and I'm the director of the PTAC program, which is the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, to help and assist all of you with government contracting. So, and government contracting has different needs, and one of them is certification. So that's why we have decided to do this webinar today with Regents, who is the senior at the certification office in the city of Chicago. So she's gonna present that. But before, I want to introduce you to my colleague, Gabriela Garcia, who has been really helpful at helping me to put this together, this webinars and presentations. So I just want you guys to know her. And so Gabi, please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. My name is Gabriela Garcia. I am the project director for the Small Business Transportation Resource Center at the Illinois Hispanic Chamber. Pretty much what we do is we help small businesses who are interested in doing work with the different transportation agencies across the Great Lakes region. We are an assist agency through the U.S. Department of Transportation. So if you are interested in learning more, our contact info will be at the end. And I know that Regents will be touching a little bit on DBE certification and how that is the transportation certification that you will need if you're looking to participate in different transportation projects. But anyway, we hope you find this information very helpful, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Gary. So without further delay, I will introduce you to Regents, who has agreed to collaborate with us on this. So thank you, Regents. Good afternoon, and please you are free to start your presentation now.
Okay, let's go to the beginning. There we go. Okay. Thank you, Angie, Gabriella. My name is Regents Norwoods. I'm a senior certification officer with the City of Chicago, and I'm going to be presenting the Becoming Certified with the City of Chicago workshop today. Next slide. The next slide.
Gabby, can you put it in presentation mode, please? Yeah, sorry. So it seems like we're having a little bit of technical inconvenience. The presentation is ready, it's just that seems like we just need to put it in presentation mode. Thank you for bearing with us. Okay, now there you go.
Is somebody going to be pressing to the next slide, or is it going to be going automatically?
I think Gabby is going to be in the slides.
Okay, so the Department of Procurement Services is the contracting authority for the procurement of goods and services for the City of Chicago. We work together as a team and with our customers to guarantee an open, fair, and timely process, establishing, communicating, and enforcing superior business practices. The City of Chicago has 6 certification programs. The first 4 are local programs, which is the MBE, the Minority-Owned Business Enterprise, WBE, Women-Owned Businesses, VBE, Veteran-Owned Businesses, BEPD, which is the businesses owned by people with disabilities. The last 2 are 2 federal programs, the DBE, which is the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, and the ACDBE, which is the Airport Concessions Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. As Gabby mentioned previously, the DBE and ACDBE are our federal programs. What we do, DPS is committed to providing information, resources, and tools to assist you in your efforts to compete for City of Chicago contracting opportunities. We accept new applications for certification. We review annual no change affidavits, and we also review recertification applications every 5 years. We also do contract compliance with negotiated contractual participation goals. So on each of our contracts, generally, there are contract participation goals for the MBE, WBE, and DBE programs. We also set standards for contract participation for all of our programs. We also assist vendors through our websites. The 2 main websites are chicago.gov/procurement. That's the Department of Procurement website. And chicago.mwdbe.com. That is our online application. So our applications are all done electronically. Some of the benefits of certification is that it provides visibility. Once your firm is certified, you're listed in a directory that's accessible to the general public. There are also, as stated before, participation goals on City of Chicago projects and also sister agencies. There are also businesses in the private sector that seek out certified firms for products and or services. The City of Chicago also has a target market program. This program provides exclusive bidding to certified minority and women-owned businesses. This allows the certified firm to take 100% of the contract because there are no subcontractor goals associated with the project. The qualifying groups include African Americans, Hispanic, Asian Americans, Native Americans, women, veterans, persons with disabilities, and other individuals who can prove social and economic disadvantage. So if you're not included in one of the qualifying groups, there is an option that you can present your case and it'll go through kind of a review and you may be included in the program. The veteran-owned business enterprise, veteran in this definition is a person who has served in the United States Armed Forces and was honorably discharged. The applicant must provide the GD-214 and or DD-215 as documentation. If the vendor does not have those forms, they need to contact the Veterans Administration and obtain them. Some of the main certification requirements include the business to be local for the local program, which is the MW, VBE, and BEPD programs. By definition, local business is your principal place of business, and the majority of your full-time workforce needs to be located in Cook County, DuPage, Kane, Lake, McHenry, or Will. For the DBE, ACDBE program, your headquarters can be located anywhere in Illinois. Also, 51% or more needs to be owned, the business needs to be owned, controlled, and managed by a minority or a woman, a veteran and or person with disability for the local program. And for the federal programs, 51% or more needs to be socially or economically disadvantaged. There's also a business size requirement. For the local program, the gross receipts of the firm must not exceed 39.9 million, average over 3 years. And that's for non-construction firms. So if you're a non-construction firm making over 40 million, average over 3 years, you would not qualify. For construction firms, this is measured against the SBA size standards, which is averaged over 5 years. So the SBA size standards could be more or less than that $39.9 million. So for example, electrical contracting firms, they're 16.5 million. So we would average over 5 years and see what your business gross receipts are. And if you're over that 16.5 million, you would not qualify for the local program. For the DBE program, this also is measured against the SBA size standards, but averaged over 3 years. And it's not to exceed 23.98 million. So if it's the lesser of 23.98 million or the SBA size standard. For the ACDBE program, that's much higher, as you can see, and that's averaged over 3 years for most firms, not to exceed 56.42 million. And there are some exceptions, but in general, that's the size standard. There is also a personal net worth standard, and for the local program, the threshold only applies to construction companies, and currently it's a little over 2.3 million, and that amount is evaluated annually by the City of Chicago. For the federal programs, the threshold is less. As you can see, it's 1.32 million, and that is also adjusted periodically by the U.S. Department of Transportation. And to calculate personal net worth, that is for the majority owner, and that calculation excludes the value of your primary residence and interest in the applicant firm. So that you take those amounts out of your calculation, and that's the amount that we look at. The next few slides will talk about various businesses that qualify. Sole proprietor, that is typically owned by one person and has no legal existence apart from that person. As documentation, we ask the applicant to submit an assumed name certificate if operating in another name other than their own name. For a general partnership is 2 or more people that go into business together without any formalities. And we ask to see the partnership agreement, which must be signed by both or all parties. The next business is a corporation. A corporation is treated as an entity completely separate from its shareholders. It allows others to invest in the business without being liable for the debts of that business. We look at if that firm is in good standing with the Secretary of State. We ask for articles of incorporation, certificate of incorporation, bylaws of corporation, copies of stock certificates, and meeting minutes. And if you are a corporation and you don't have these documents, which are mandatory, you need to explain why not. A limited partnership is the limited partners are more like stakeholders in a corporation, and they are not liable for the debts beyond their own contribution. We ask to see the assumed name certification and certificate of limited partnership. The most common is the LLC, which is the limited liability company. These are partnerships that have a managing member or partner, and we ask to see the operating agreement and articles of organization. The next 3 slides will talk about suppliers and distributors and brokers. We have different guidelines for those type of businesses. A supplier must be a regular dealer, which is a firm that owns, operates, or maintains a store, a warehouse, or other establishment in which materials, supplies, equipment are bought, kept in stock, and regularly sold or leased to the public in the usual course of business. So in general, a supplier, we're looking for inventory. That business should be carrying inventory in their stock and have a place where they're keeping it, a warehouse or a store. The other type is a distributor. So firms operating as a distributor are identified as having a direct relationship with a manufacturer to distribute its goods and products within a specified territory or region. The goods and or products are not available or sold to the general public. And the important thing here is if you are a distributor, we're looking for distributor agreements, and that needs to be directly with a manufacturer. So not a supplier. So that's really important to note, that we're looking for a distributor agreement. That should be signed by both parties. So firms acting as a broker are not eligible for certification in the local programs, but can be eligible for certification for the federal programs, for the DBE and ACDBE, if that's the case. By our definition, a person or entity that fills orders by purchasing or receiving supplies from a third-party supplier rather than out of its own existing inventory and provides no substantial service other than acting as a conduit between his or her supplier and his or her customer is considered a broker. So if you're a person and your business is to order supplies for your customer, and you're simply ordering it from a supplier, another supplier, such as Home Depot, and having the supplies drop shipped to your customer, we would look at that in most cases as brokering. So you wouldn't qualify for the local program if that's your business. Our application process is done online, and our website is chicago.mwdve.com, so that's important to note. There is an application fee for the local programs, aside from the BEPD, which is the people with disabilities, and there is no fee for the federal program. And upon submission of your application, you'll receive an invoice. We'll not review your application until that fee is paid. You can pay the fee at any of the city payment centers. Well, at this time, there's only one payment center, so it's best to do it online. Credit cards and debit cards are accepted, and there is instruction on the second page of that invoice that you receive. Other information that's needed in your application that is important is your contact information. Please keep your contact information, which would be your email address, your phone number, and your business address, up to date. And also, if you're applying for certification and you're, for example, a minority and a woman, you would apply for those two at the same time in one application. If you're also applying for the federal program, the DBE, for example, you would have to fill out 2 separate certification applications. And a lot of the information is the same, but you still need to fill out each application separately and respond to a request separately in the application. For the person with disabilities program, that business requires the Schedule G form to be completed and approved by the Mayor's Office of People with Disabilities. For the VBE, we discussed that requires the DD-214 and or the DD-215. Additional information we ask for is ownership information, employee, facility, financial information, and licenses. For example, for facility information, you'd need to provide an executed lease signed by both parties. Financial information, we'll talk about tax returns that'll be required. And licenses, for example, if you're a professional engineering service provider, we are looking for that professional engineering license. If you're a general contractor, we're looking for that GC license. If you're just a business operating in Chicago and your office is located in Chicago, please ensure you have that City of Chicago license through the BACP, Business Affairs and Consumer Protection Department. Proof of eligibility documents. So this is to determine that you're eligible for the program, and the codes that we'll talk about, the codes, commodity codes. So we'll ask for the resume of the employees, or we'll ask for the key employee resumes. Please ensure that's up to date. If we're also asking for evidence of executed contracts and invoices, so we're making sure that you're eligible for the codes that you're requesting. Driver's license, birth certificate, we're looking for that information to determine gender. We could also use the birth certificate to determine your ethnicity sometimes. It's listed on there. Proof of equity contribution, this is important for both for the federal and the local programs. This is your initial capital into the business. What amount did you contribute at inception of your business? Where did that come from? So we're looking for evidence. If it came from your personal account and transferred to your business account, provide the bank statements. We're also looking at who's a signatory on your business bank accounts, which should be the eligible owner. Organizational chart, this could be something formal or not so formal. If you don't have a formal chart, you can just draw like who's the president, who's the CEO, who are the employees of the firm. Equipment list, this is important, especially for construction contractors. We want to ensure that you actually have the equipment to do the work that you're saying that the service that you're providing. Loan information, we're looking at that information to see who's actually signed the loan. For financial documents, we look at 3 years of federal business and individual tax returns. For construction firms, we look at 5 years of the business and the individual. Just keep in mind that we do certify new firms, startups. So if your firm doesn't have business taxes for 3 or 5 years, then just explain that. But we would assume that you do have the individual tax returns. We also ask for a 4506T, which is a tax IRS document. We're just requesting that be signed. We very rarely use that. It's basically requesting the IRS to provide us your firm or your individual tax returns. For the W-2s and 1099s, that's generally for the individual applying, the majority owner, we could ask for your employee W-2s and 1099s, but at the application, you would provide your own. Again, personal net worth statements, that's required for all construction firms and all new DBE and ACBDE firms. So after the applications are submitted, it takes about 90 days. Right now, it could be about 90 to 120 days, depending on when we receive all of the documents. So that date's important because it's not starting from the time that you submit your application. You have to pay your fee, we have to receive it, it has to be assigned, and the officer may request more information. So it really starts from once the officer has all the information they need to make a recommendation on your application. Your application is checked to make sure we have all of the documentation, it's thoroughly audited. You may receive a site visit. Just so you know, for site visits, it's pretty standard questions. We're looking if you have inventory, if you have trucks, if you have equipment. So construction firms, trucking firms, suppliers, distributors, all federal applications will receive a site visit. And again, if your firm is approved for the local program only, your certification is valid for 5 years. For the federal program, you're certified indefinitely unless we remove your certification for some reason. We do have a somewhat abbreviated application process that requires less documentation, and that's if your firm is already certified with CMSDC, the Chicago Minority Supplier Development Center or Council, or the WBDC, the Women's and Business Development Center. So if your firm is already MBE and WBE certified with these firms, you can provide less information, but just ensure that you follow the correct, you're in the right application. So there is a process to maintain your certification, and all firms must submit an annual no change affidavit, and that is important, especially if your firm has had material change in the organization. You must notify us if there has been ownership changes, business name changes, change in address within 10 days of the change. And again, for the local program, vendors must certify every 5 years, recertify every 5 years. If your firm is expanding services, you can do it 2 ways. One way would be during your no change affidavit, there is a question if you're adding a specialty, and then at that time, which is recommended, you would provide a request on your company letterhead of what codes, which are the North American Industry Classification System codes, which codes you're requesting. The number should be 6 digits and the description of that code. Include in their supporting documentation that you have the technical expertise and or have the experience in those codes. If it requires a license, provide that license. Copies of future contracts or present contracts showing that you can do that. So for instance, in those contracts, we're most concerned with the scope of service in the contract and that it's signed. If there's additional insurance needed, you can provide that and update your current resume or keep your resume current. And we would expect to see that those services are included in the resume. Sister agencies, this is a listing of our sister agencies. Keep in mind Cook County, if you are certified with the City of Chicago, Cook County accepts our certification on their contracts. We have reciprocity with them. So, and vice versa. If you are certified with Cook County, you can, you don't have to apply for both. You can do both contracts service. So these are the top 10 reasons why applications are denied. If ownership and control is unsubstantiated or questionable, if it's unclear the description of critical functions, who's responsible for that, the company cannot substantiate the startup funds, where they received it and how they came up with it. Outside secondary employment takes the majority of the firms, of the eligible owners' time. So just keep in mind, we understand that you may have secondary employment. We're just concerned with how are you able to run this business. If the firm is not located in one of the 6 county regions, you may be denied for the local program. The point of contact did not respond to requests for information in a timely manner. So that's important. If we're requesting information, and again, everything's done on our portal, please respond to those requests, or let us know if you need extra time. Depending on how much time you need, we're pretty flexible. If there's inconsistencies among various documents, you may be denied. If there's problems with contracts, if it's missing, incomplete, not signed, or doesn't have proof of payments, we're also looking, like if your firm doesn't have any contracts or doesn't have any invoices, that's okay too. Just ensure that you can prove to us that you have the technical expertise. And then we may look at other documents in lieu of that. If there's required documents that are not attached and there's no explanation as to why, you may also be denied. And for the tax returns, for the federal, the business, and the individual tax returns, we understand most tax returns are done electronically, but when you submit them to us in the application, just ensure you sign that. That just shows us that it was actually submitted. And that's all I have. So if you have any additional questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Regents, for that presentation. And we do have a couple of questions, and for all the participants, on the bottom of your page, there is a Q&A feature that allows you to write the questions. So we are going to answer some of the questions we received while you were speaking. So so we received one where say like, and I know you touch base on all of the documents that are required, but so that question is pretty much resolved. And if it's no, Brian, please let us know if you will still have any doubts about all the documents that you must provide for the certification. So he's talking about financials, tax returns, which Regents spoke about the importance of providing all your financials, and she made the distinction between the construction firms. So I hope that that's answered. Another question that we received, Regents, is so when you apply for certification, how do you check the status of your application? So you name that all the process is online and through your portal. So how the people have access, or where they should go when they want to check the status? Let's say it has been 60 days or 90 days and they haven't heard back from the city.
Okay, sure. So when you submit your application and it's assigned to a certification officer, that person's name should be on the portal. And typically we like to reach out and let you know how to contact us. We do have a customer service helpline that there's always somebody, usually 8:30 to 5 p.m. answering phone calls. Right now, we're working remotely, but you can email us, and I'll have to get that. I think it's DPE or DPS.certification, but I can get you that email address. You can also request a customer support ticket and send it that way. But I think the best way is to contact that certification officer directly, find out who that person is.
Okay, so when this application is assigned to an officer, the applicant receives any kind of confirmation to understand that the 90 or 120 days are starting from that point on, or they receive the confirmation with the information of their officer, so they know how to contact them, or they don't receive anything like that?
So we try to reach out to the applicants and let them know how to contact us. But if that person hasn't reached out, you can contact our customer service line, and we can give you that information, who that certification officer is, and then they can contact that person directly.
Okay, thank you. So for all the participants, we'll gather that exact email about the how to check the status, and we'll send that to all of you. We have your email and contact information as a resource after the webinar. Thank you. We have another question, Regents, is like from Patricia. My MBE application was submitted, and what is the procedure to find out what's, I'm sorry. She has the WBC certification. So how is the process when you already have one of the ones that you can trade with the city? So did they go to the same portal, or how does that look like for them?
Yeah, so just to be clear, WBENC it has to be WBDC, so it has to be local here in Chicago. And that was one of the so when you go to our portal, you'll have to answer certain questions to bring you to the correct application. It's called the decision tree. And one of the questions is if you're already certified with WBDC or CMSDC, you would click on there, and then that'll bring you to the correct application.
And so they choose that option when they start the application.
Yes.
And kind of take them through a different route.
Correct. It'll have different information that needs to be provided.
Great. So we have another question from Alex. He has two questions. Number one, I'm just going to read it how he wrote it. So what do you mean by threshold for companies? Does that mean that if you have a revenue higher than 2.3 million, do you qualify to get MBE certified? So that's his first question.
So that 2.3 million is with respect to the owner's personal net worth, not the business revenue. The gross receipts is a separate test that we do. So the 2.3 million, if the personal net worth of the owner is more than that, you would not qualify. Yes, that's correct. The threshold of the revenue is measured average gross receipts over 3 or 5 years, depending on your business. If it's more than that 39.9 million for non-construction, you would not qualify. If you're a construction firm, that measure is different depending on what the SBA size standards say.
Thank you.
Is that clear?
Yeah, so like there is a difference between the personal network and the gross sales of the company. So the 2.3 millions are on the personal network, and the gross sales for the business are over like 39, almost $40 million. So I hope that that answers your question, Alex. And his second question is, how do you prove that you are Hispanic descent? Any documents other than require besides a driver license?
Well, so you need to sign a sworn affidavit when you're filling out the application, and you will swear that you are whatever ethnicity, in your case, Hispanic. But I'm just saying additional information we typically also look at could be a birth certificate where, you know, current birth certificates don't list the ethnicity of your parents, but in some that they do. But in general, you're swearing that you are a minority. I mean, we can also look for, obviously, if you're a woman, then we'll look at different documents or driver's license that would help.
Okay, thank you, Regents. Another question that comes from the attendee is, is there any email or additional support on the process of certification? So
yeah, so when you are on the website, there is an option to submit a customer support ticket. That is one way to get in touch with us. And I'll give you the email too, of the general email. I believe it's, like I said, we'll get that out to you. But if you've already started your application, you can submit a customer support ticket. And that's another way you can find out who your certification officer is, because those questions are fielded to the certification officers to answer. And if it's a specific question, that certification officer will get that email.
I think we lost Angie, but there is another question. Somebody asked, what if you were born in a different country? Can you still qualify to become an MBE business?
Yes. So for the local program, there is no citizenship requirement. We accept all applicants. But for the federal program, you do need to prove that you are a U.S. citizen or a naturalized citizen. That's the DBE and the ACDBE program. And that you can provide your passport or your naturalization papers.
Okay. So I know there were some questions, the question for all earlier that was brought up for the checklist and everything. Just want to let everybody know we will be sending out the PowerPoint presentation so that you have that. If they have any additional questions, we'll provide contact information as well in the email. Regents, will you be someone that would be able to answer these questions directly then?
Yeah, absolutely. You can send that. You can email me directly. You have my email. We also have the customer support. So once you're in on that website and you've started your application, you can always send us that. And that's the best way to contact us.
Great.
Right now.
More questions that are trickling in. Somebody asked, what if you are a DACA holder? Can you apply for certification?
I believe, I'm not sure about that. Can you explain that?
If they are here under DACA, would they, if they started their own business, would they be able to qualify?
For the local program, I believe you can.
Okay.
Yeah. That's for the federal program, we would have to probably look at that separately.
Yeah. So if they want more information, that could be an off-site question. We also have another one. What if I am a startup? What do I need for proof of revenue? And what if I don't have any revenue?
Yeah, so what we look at, we certify startups I mean, if you don't have any gross receipts, that's okay. We're looking that you don't exceed that gross receipts and you're, you know, still a small business, obviously. But we do look at if you are a new business and you don't have any federal tax returns for your business, that's okay. We still look at your individual tax returns.
Okay, and then do you recommend hiring an attorney to review your paperwork and complete the application process, or would you recommend doing it through the Ihcc or similar organization?
You know, sorry.
Go ahead. No.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't make any I can't provide business advice, but there are definitely other services out there that can help you through your application process, and it's pretty user friendly. Once you're online in the portal, I mean, most of it's gathering documentation that you already have and uploading it.
Yeah. And Alex, yes, I recommend that you do reach out to the Ihcc. You can reach out to Angie. She can help kind of giving it another look and guide you through the process. We have another question. Is the certification review handled by your office, or is it outsourced to a third party?
So we have a team that reviews certification applications in-house, and we do also have 2 consulting firms that assist. Prado and Renteria is a CPA firm, and Ringgold is another CPA firm. So we do outsource to those 2 firms.
Okay, and then.
Well, we do keep in mind though, we do review their recommendations too.
Okay, and then another question is, if I am a marketing consultant, can I be an MBE? Can I become an MBE?
Yeah, that's fine. That's a professional. That's considered a professional service. You can just state what the NAICS code is for marketing and provide that evidence.
Okay. Well, we have Angie back.
Okay, yes, yes, thank you. Sorry about that. It seems like my internet just is done. It's failing. So we were talking about the questions. Were we able to answer the questions about the resources? Okay, great. So thank you. We want to share with all of you also, Gabby, the resources, the additional resources links that we have that Regents provided us. So you know, also once you have the certification, or if you want to learn more about how to do business with the City of Chicago, these are the additional resources, and I let Regents to talk a little bit about each one of them.
Yeah, so the DPS has a workshop schedule, and there's various topics that we discuss, and you can check online to see what is relevant to your business. We also have online the buying plan, which is updated quarterly. This is a 15-month forecast of what the City of Chicago and sister agencies plan to buy in the next 15 months. So this will take you to a PDF, which you can search by service and then see what departments plan to buy and be on the lookout for that. There's also a current bid opportunities list. That's what's out there right now, what the city is looking to buy. DPS alerts, you should sign up for DPS alerts. It's a weekly blast. A lot of good information is on there. Workshop schedules are on there, new bid opportunities, and kind of what's going on in the procurement world.
So those are great resources for all of you that are looking into learning how to do business with the city, learning where the opportunities are. Also, maybe sometimes the city hosts pre-bidding meetings as well. So I bet like all of these links will help you navigate just the procurement world, but also to learn more about what is the system for the City of Chicago to do business with the a small business. So we also have the contact information for all the three of us that are here today. So we have Regents and her email, the phone number. We know that because of the pandemic and this new normal, we are all working remotely. So I always say to my clients, I think these days the best way to reach out to us is through email, because we can access it either from the office or from our homes. We have Gabby's information as well. She is my colleague, so we both work at Ihcc. We are located at the Merchandise Mart in the 1871, and there are our emails. Gabby works with everything related with the transportation, and as I say, I work with the procurement and government contracting. So any questions that you might have about the certifications, not just for the City of Chicago, but the different ones out there for the state. We hosted a webinar last week for the BEPD certification. We'll be hosting another one for the Illinois Tollway soon. That's coming up, and that is my email address. So for any of you that feel like maybe we didn't say something about here, or you will have some questions once the webinar is over, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you, Gabby, for your time. Thank you, Regents. Thank you to all of you that joined us today. Thank you for your patience and bearing with us with the technical problems. We are all learning how to work and function in this new norm and trying to do our best during this pandemic. So we appreciate all of you who signed up today and share your time with us. So that's all for today. We hope we answer all your questions. We'll be sharing the additional resources link on a following up email, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.